In this episode of the Project Management Podcast, we explore part one of how to run projects as profit centers. Hello and welcome back to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. This is the live stream for episode 465 and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. How nice of you for being here with us today for this live episode. And for those of you who are accessing this episode recorded and not live, please remember that this is a video episode. So, if you are only getting audio, then please look for the Play Video episode link in your podcast app or visit pm-podcast.com/465 where you can stream the video. And now for today, you are in for a treat because the world of project management is undergoing a fundamental change, a collaborative revolution, if you like. Projects that would have been done internally in the past are more and more given to external contractors, who in turn may use subcontractors and sub-subcontractors building complex project supply networks, PSNs. This cross-corporate way of doing projects is the market for professionals in project business. Based on specific expertise and assets, they have the intention to serve their project customers, make them happy, but also need to be profitable and consider cash flow. Project business is high-risk business for all parties involved. And our guest today is Oliver Lehmann to give us his insights into the specific challenges of doing project business and provides an example for methods in which we manage it like benefits engineering. Hello, Oliver.
Hello.
And welcome back to the Project Management Podcast.
Hi, Cornelius. Great to be here.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know Oliver, he is a project management practitioner and trainer from Munich, Bavaria, Germany. And after 13 years of doing project management, also project business management, with a focus on the automotive industry, he started his own business as a trainer in 1995. And today he helps corporations to be more successful in project business, high risk business for both customers and project managers. Since 2002, he has volunteered for PMI, Project Management Institute, and since 2019, he is in fact the president of the Project Business Foundation. And you can find the Project Business Foundation at projectbusiness.org. Oliver, tell me, how did this presentation, before we get going, how did this presentation about projects as profit centers actually start?
That's a good point. We have a shortage in project management on materials and understanding of projects when they are profit centers, and that's not a rare thing. That's a very common thing. You have one organization acting as a contractor for another organization, and this was the starting point also of the Project Business Foundation. When we saw, it means me and some friends and enthusiasts in the field, we found out somehow this is missing in the entire project management discipline to talk about those project managers, those organizations that are not doing projects for strategic goals and big new product and service developments and so on. No, they bring money home with these projects. They are contractors. And this is how it started. What does it really mean to work for such an organization? If you do that, what are the changes for you? What are the things that you need to do differently now? And the skills that you need in this business, which are really different from the skills in internal projects. And that's how we started the whole thing. And by the way, I have a second slide set we won't show it today, but I have a slide set where we talk about the customer side, because a lot of things change on the customer side as well when you do projects not with internal people, but when you buy them from outside. So, but our focus today is the contractor side.
All right. Thank you very much. And right now, we are going to go and continue. I will bring up Oliver's presentation in just a moment. But for those of you who are joining us live here today, please, if you have any questions, there is a chat function both in Facebook and YouTube. Please do make use of it. And I will interrupt Oliver. He said, yes, please do interrupt me, makes things more lively. And I'm now handing things over to you,
That's
Oliver.
a secret. That's a
And
secret.
thank you. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Let me remove the logo here as well so that that is not so dominant there at the top. There we go. Oliver,
Now
thank
my
you for
logo.
joining us today. It's your show.
Thank you very much. Now my logo is the dominant one. So it's about projects as profit centers. What is different for a project manager when projects are done for paying customer? It really changes a lot in the industry. Here again, some things about me. We don't want to spend too much time here, but I hold a Master of Science in Project Management. I'm PMP. Of course, I've been PMP certified for more than 20 years now. And I've been volunteer, active member at PMI, Project Management Institute, for, again, over 20 years now. And I'm actually, I'm at the time now being active at the Project Business Foundation, but I'm still also in PMI. I do some volunteering for PMI in their educational field, but my real focus is now the Project Business Foundation, where we talk about different things in project management, things that should be discussed far more often here. A bit about my publications. I have 2 books, and one obviously is about project business management. I think it's the first book that really looks at that as a business from both sides, looks what we can do better to have better projects when the project is cross-functional, when you're not doing the project inside one organization, but you break through the walls of an organization and bring other organizations in, contractors, subcontractors, and so on. This changes a lot. And I have over 30 papers out on the topic. So really a lot of stuff out there mostly on the topic of project business management. This is the contents for today. For me, it's evening. For you, depending on where you are in the world, it may be morning. We do the walk from internal projects to customer-facing projects, try to understand what is the main point of concern in internal projects and how does this change when you go to customer-facing projects. By the way, customer-facing project is the same here as customer project. Meanwhile, I really prefer customer project. It's not just what faces to, it's not the direction of the face. It is a different kind of project that we do here. What are the challenges in this specific kind of project? And I will give you one solution for these challenges, something that can be very helpful, that can be very, very strong. We will talk about benefit engineering, a topic that a method that can help your project out of crisis where necessary. And I have, of course, I'm happy to answer your questions here. So the first thing is from internal projects to customer-facing projects. And I'd like to introduce you to Clara Loft. Clara Loft, a project manager, obviously, and a pretty normal project manager, I would normally say. But hey, she knows the value of her work. This is something that doesn't go without saying. This is something special for many project managers. Many of them do not know the value of their work, and their organizations don't either. So she knows what her job is worth, and she is very, very good in internal projects. That's what she learned, and what she is very good in, implementing strategic initiatives. Sorry. I had a long training day behind me already. Strategic initiatives is one thing that she does. Change to the organization, new products, new services. She builds teams across the organization, and she delivers on time. Hey, that's a great thing. Her home world so far is the world of the internal project, the cross-functional project. Let's understand what this means. To understand what it means and what the main challenge is in internal projects, we have to look at something which is called the matrix. It's described in the PMBOK guide, by the way. Yeah, but we are missing a bit the elaboration on that because it's a big topic when you are in internal projects. So let's have a brief look into that, what it means. I have a functional organization here. We have division, some say line organization, with a division manager on top and some department manager. And in these departments, we have between 3 and 6 people as department employees. With a lot of care, with a lot of carefulness, we can make a first assumption. It's a valid assumption to assume that department manager 4 is more powerful than department manager 3. There are more influencing factors, but one very strong influencing factor in a line organization for the power and influence of a manager, a line manager, is the span of control. The number of people that this person manages, and in our example here, department manager 4 has twice as many employees as department manager 3. There are many things that come with that. One thing is budget, of course. Department manager 4 probably has more budget, maybe has a stronger participation in the value creation in the organization, is a bigger part of the value stream that finally keeps this organization alive and liquid, of course, because they make money on that. So there are several reasons that make me assume that department manager is the stronger one of the two. By the way, there's one more. Grapevine radio. Rumors in the organization. Department manager 4 has 6 pairs of ears and 6 pairs of eyes in the organization that can tell the department manager if some rumors are running around. It may take department manager 3 a bit longer to hear about these rumors because only 3 pairs of eyes and 3 pairs of ears in the grapevine radio. And the other thing is also, if you want to spread rumors, department manager 4 can tell one of the employees, hey, I have to tell you something, but don't tell anyone else, please. But this has just happened. It's incredible. And the employee thinks, no, I shouldn't tell it anybody. Maybe except my best friend and colleague, 4.2. And so this goes on. And that's how you spread rumors in organization. And with 6 employees, this is much easier than with 3 employees, of course. So it's also soft factors that play a role here. This understanding is not complete. I have to agree to that. If sometimes people say, hey, it's not always the case. They are right. It's not always the case. There are other important factors. I think the most important factor is corporate culture. What is the culture in the organization? Another factor is what kind of employees do they have? Are these employees rather well-educated, well-trained, or is it just cheap workers, or what is it here? But generally, that's a strong factor. How many people does a department manager actually manage? Now, this has a corollary. The corollary is a department manager. How will the department manager respond if only temporarily, maybe, one or more employees are taken out of the department to work in a project? And precisely this is what we see now here happen. We have a project here which is cross-functional. This is a matrix organization because it has 2 overlapping structures. We have on one side the departments. These are the columns here. And then we have across these columns our project, which takes the team leads, team members, and maybe some more from the different departments in here. A typical problem in such a situation is that all these team members now are servants of 2 masters. Have a look at team member 4, for instance, here. Team member 4 is a person one side subordinate to the project, but to the project manager. But on the other side, this person is also a member of department 4. So what if there comes some direction from the project manager and from the department manager, and they run into conflict with each other? Let me give you a simple example. I'm sure most of you would love to spend a week in Hawaii to work on a project. And my project manager, the guy on the left-hand side here, needs someone to go to Hawaii and spend some time there for this project, 5 days maybe. Project manager speaks with team member 4 and says, hey, I need you in Hawaii 5 days. Team member 4 thinks, yeah, Hawaii, wonderful. Project manager says, okay, book a flight, book a hotel. Oh, in Hawaii, you will need a rental car. Yeah, book a rental car. At one point in time, the department manager hears about that and says, hey, hang on, my employee is planning to fly to Hawaii and spend their 5 days in Hawaii. No, I won't allow that. It's still my employee. I'm still the boss of this person, and I say no. So what is this team member 4 now going to do? The project manager says, fly to Hawaii. The department manager says, you stay here. And in many, many organizations, the outcome of this conflict will be our team member 4 will stay here, will stick with the department manager, and all the joy is gone again. What we just described has a name, also in the PMBOK guide, by the way. It's called a weak matrix. Weak from the point of view of the project manager. Project manager is rather in a weak position. Often they're not even called project managers. They are called coordinator. This is to signal the line managers, you are in charge. You are still the bosses here. This is just a coordinator, not even a manager. Project manager, project management team are typically assigned part-time to projects in a weak matrix. I had recently a case in a company in chemistry where 15 million euro, I think that's $18 million, so something like that. Such a project had to be done by a project manager part-time. The person was expected to do other things at the same time. $18 million, that's incredible. And the project had huge problems because the project manager did not have enough time to take care of the project, to pay attention to the project, to be there when things go wrong. Often in a weak matrix, project managers have no own budget. If there is a budget there at all, it's a function manager who manages that. It could be a project sponsor, it could be another functional manager. And also things like staffing. We need to recruit people, procurement. We need to buy something from outside. The project managers cannot even do that. The functional organization has departments that take these jobs. So they have an HR department, they have a purchasing department, and they take care for that, whether they will hire the right people, get the right contractors on board, and these things, I'm uncertain. Resource availability, low and unreliable. My example with Hawaii, this guy, this project manager may now go to other departments. Like, do you have someone for me to go to Hawaii? And they'll say, no, we won't give someone away. And even if someone says yes, early in the project, later, when this flight really is about to happen, it could still be that the line manager says, no, just changed my mind on that. My employee stays here. Yeah, doesn't fly to Hawaii. And this leads to a rather poor reputation of the project manager. Too often in these situations, they have difficulties to meet their schedule goals, deadlines, to stay inside budget, and to deliver what is expected. Weak matrix is not a nice situation to work in, and most project managers in internal projects have to do that. Could there also be a strong matrix somewhere? PMBOK guide talks about that. And yes, can happen. A good example is customer projects. Customer projects typically have a real project manager. Sometimes the person is referred to as program manager, not because this is a program. This is because the customer should have the feeling, oh, I get a very special, high level, senior level project manager, program manager, not just the coordinator. Then the project manager, the project management team in comparatively small projects is already full-time. This is the way how this organization makes money. These people bring money home. So you don't want things to go wrong because project managers have a conflict of different tasks and have to share their time with other activities. No, they should fully focus on the project and bring money home for the project. They have their own budget. Think of a fixed price project. Budgeting is very, very simple in a fixed price project. The customer is prepared to pay us $10 million. We would like to keep $2 million as the margin from the project. We have some risks, we have a lot of work, we would like to have some profit as well. So we need a margin from this project. 10 million is what the customer is paying. We keep 2 million. 8 million is the budget for the project manager and for the project. Very simple, works with all contract types. Staffing, procurement, often done really by the project manager. You don't want another department interfering here and making it difficult for project managers to bring money home. They should do everything that is necessary to make the customer happy, bring money home. And by the way, bring it home soon. That's another thing. Liquidity is a topic. Resource availability, very high. If the project manager is in a customer project and says someone has to fly to Hawaii, it goes without saying that someone flies to Hawaii. 2 reasons. Reason number 1, we want to send invoices to the customer. If we don't do our job, we cannot invoice this work. So of course someone flies there. There's a second reason, by the way, we work under contract. Most organizations, unfortunately not all, but most organizations hate being in breach of contract. They don't want to be in breach of contract. So we have a contractual obligation to make sure that the project is done right. And if this flight to Hawaii, if these 5 days in Hawaii contribute to that, then of course, then it goes without saying that we do that. And all these different situations here that we see, the different situation with the many aspects that we see here, lead to a higher reputation of the project manager, because the project manager is in a better situation to deliver on time, on budget, and what was really ordered there.
Quick question for you, Oliver.
Yes, please.
So we looked at weak matrix, strong matrix on one side, and we said, in most cases, strong matrix, that's where you want to go if you have a customer project. Have you ever had a situation where a customer project was run in a weak matrix environment?
Yes.
And how did that go?
The majority is strong matrix. One
right?
reason
yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are some exceptions. One big exception, by the way, very large organizations. If your project is not just one customer project that is so important for the organization has 100, 200, 300 customer projects at a time, then the customer is no more king in this situation. The customer is the customer in the waiting line of a supermarket. And if the supermarket thinks, hey, we don't want this customer anymore, then they kick the customer out. You're a very, very small number there. And actually, the problem there is not so much the competition between projects and line organization. There is another competition than there between project and another project and another project. They all use the same resources, and you can be very weak in such a situation as well. And another influencing factor always here is, again, corporate culture. Corporate culture may even make a customer project where everyone would say, hey, it must be in a strong matrix. They earn their money with that. This is their income for the organization. Even there, it could be that they become very weak because the organization is built like that. You also have some internal projects that can be very, very strong when they go against legal deadlines. 16 years ago, I was at SAP, and they had to become Sarbanes-Oxley compliant. If someone
I was there as well,
the legislation to protect the shareholders in US listed, in organizations that are listed on the US stock exchange. I think SAP is New York Stock Exchange, so they had to do that as well. And their CFO said, I don't want to go to jail we have some projects here, and they are very, very powerful because I don't want to go to jail. So these were some of the most powerful internal projects that I ever see. But these are exceptions. That's not the rule. Yeah.
Right.
The rule
Let me bring
is
up this one here. Sorry, just to remind everybody, you do have a chat function. Hello, Hugh, who's watching us from San Diego, California. Please do interrupt us, and please do type your question into the chat so Oliver can answer. Sorry, Oliver, I interrupted you
no
there.
problem. I love that.
But you brought up the balanced matrix, so let's take a look at,
Yes.
how that goes there in the center.
Actually, what we just saw is a very unfair thing. I just go back. Very unfair thing for this team member 4, employee 4.4, because whatever this guy is doing, he will frustrate someone. He will either frustrate the project manager or the department manager. Normally, employees in an organization are hired to do their work and not to frustrate people. But whatever the person does, someone will be frustrated. And that's not something you should do with your employees. So a way out of such a dilemma situation for this person is the balanced matrix, where the project manager and the line manager sit together and discuss the situation. And I would recommend that our team member, our employee, is also part of this meeting, so that the person can talk about things he likes and dislikes and bring up concerns and so on. Should be part of the discussion, but is not left alone with this situation. And that's where we've common for internal and customer projects. We talked about this already. And this is the situation where our Lara Croft is very, very good. She learned to navigate inside the organization like a fish in the water. I stole this, to be honest, from Mao Zedong, who said a revolutionary has to swim in the people like a fish in the water. And I think project managers are sometimes some kind of revolutionaries. So the same is true for project managers. She has stakeholder orientation. She has servant leadership, all these things that we hold so high at the moment. She can be very, very persuasive. And that's an important thing, because she doesn't have formal power. So she needs her persuasiveness, social skills, self-control, emotional intelligence, all those things. Unfortunately, there was a moment that this did not help her anymore. Her company made a decision to fire her despite all the things she can do, all her skills, all her capabilities, all the understanding that she has. And the reason was the project has been outsourced to an external provider. Someone will have to take care for this external provider, but you don't need a full-time project manager anymore for that. So someone else in the organization should do that. All her skills, knowledge, behavior, all the things that she had did no more help her. And she wondered, hey, how can this happen? She felt redundant. And she was redundant, of course. She was made redundant here. She was thinking about the situation. More project managers are hired today for customer projects than for internal projects. We will see some numbers later. So what if I change the side? Bringing money home with project, can it be that difficult? That's what she thinks. I have some numbers on that. Maybe the most interesting survey that I ever had is this one. I had 590 responses 3.5 years ago, where I asked people, what is the trend in your organization in make or buy decisions? Is the trend more towards make or more towards buy? If the trend is more towards make, then we would have more internal projects in the future. If the trend goes towards buy, then we will have more project business in the future. And you see it is very, very strong here. There's an overweight on the right-hand side. That's the buy side. The green columns stand for experience of the recent past. And the red columns stand for expectations for the future. And on both sides, there's an overweight on the right-hand side. More people say we are buying more than we did in the past, and I believe it will be even more in the future. then on the other side, we take it all back. We want to make it ourselves. Of course, this strategy is also out there and can be a good strategy, but we see the majority is going the other way. There is an expectation that projects may run better if you do them the cross-corporate way than just the cross-functional way. By the way, if you're interested in the average numbers, it is a +1 for the green, no, +1.3 for the green bars and a +1 for the red bars here. The participants had 3 steps on the buy side, 3 steps on the make side, and most of them went to number 2. This is where we have a majority here. Choose buy between very, very strong and somewhat a strong tendency towards buy. So that's the market of project business management. Clara came to a decision. If this is the trend, then I want to be part of this trend. I want to work for a contractor and I want to do a project as a profit center. For a contractor, it's a profit center. She was looking for a new job and found one, and she got a new project assignment there. And a lot of things changed for her, and she was not really prepared for that. She did not expect the new challenges that come upon her. The most important one is now she has to take care of 2 organizations, not just one. She has to take care of the customer and of the contractor. The contractor is her employer. So if there is a real conflict of interest, her side should be on the contractor side, of course, but she has to take care of the customer because one of the big goals is to make the customer happy. Clara had to bridge disputes between the companies, and there is a lot that can happen there. They may have different commercial interests. Cultures can play a big role again. Processes and tools in use. Whose templates are we using? Whose forms? Whose checklists? Whose software? One company may use this software, the other company another one. So which software are we going to use? The company that accepts that the other company's software is being in use will have to learn maybe new software here. Communication styles may vary. Data protection, security. We have an interface between organizations. This does not, we do not want this to become a weak spot here. And another thing is big egos. On both sides, you may have managers. And what happens if these egos, these big managers, if they clash, if they have difficulties to find joint solution there? And it's not really unlikely. I saw it happen. Legal terms is the next thing. She was not prepared for these big numbers of terms that you see here. By the way, the Project Business Foundation has a glossary online. It is free. Everyone can access it. It's totally open. You can immediately use it, and you can make sure that you use terminology as you should use that. Which project manager knows really what a pitch is, what liquidated damages are, and so on. Privity of contracts. Never heard of that. Benefit engineering. And she had to be careful because there is a worst case here. A worst case scenario in a customer project is it could lead to a lawsuit. It could end at court, and the end at court is something we try to avoid, of course, but we must accept that this is part of what we are doing. The possibility that this ends at court is a big threat over all parties involved. She spoke to her new boss, of course. You want me to bring money home with projects? I need help. I can't do that alone. I never learned that. I learned project management, but I didn't learn how to run a project as a profit center. Later in my presentation, we'll go on with her story. For the moment, we have a little excerpt and talk about the special challenges when we do projects as businesses. By the way, we have challenges on both sides, also on customer side, but our focus here is the contractor side. Here are the three big goals that both sides have in here. The customer outsources project work to make sure, and in the expectation and in the hope, not to make sure, in the hope to get reliable vendor performance, someone I can rely on, maybe even more than on own people. Then a customer wants VIP grade service. You don't want to stand in a waiting line. You don't want to hear all the time, yeah, we have to do some work for you, but we are just finishing work for another customer. And oh, by the way, there is another one in front of you. You are number 3 now. And as soon as we are ready for you, we will do the business. We will do the job for you. That's not what they want. And what they want is supply network agility. It can be very tricky and very difficult to bring changes into a project when you have contract partners and they all have to agree to the change and do something then differently. They may say no to that. If you have a project with 5, 6 contractors and one of them says no to a change, this may make that change impossible. No, you want agility there. You want them to make quick changes when you need these quick changes. And of course, you have to pay for that, but that's an expectation that you have. On contractor side, we also have some big goals. The first big goal, of course, is the happy customer. The happy customer protects our future. We may become an incumbent contractor there. So the next business, winning the next business, will be much, much easier than the last one because we don't have to fight against so much competition here. We are already there and they know us, they trust us, hopefully. Then, of course, we need a profitable project. The reason is quite simple. We cannot do too many loss-bringing projects. I asked repeatedly organizations that live on customer projects, where this is their income, this is the point where they make money and keep the company alive. Ask them, how many loss-bringing projects could you afford? And a typical number is 10%. 1 out of 10 projects could be loss bringers. That's something they would survive. 2 out of 10 would already be too much for them. They may no more be able to survive. And then there's another one. That's liquidity. It has to do with our cash flow. It is very normal in a customer project that the contractor lays out money for the customer, that to some degree you finance your customer's project. But there are limitations. How much can you really afford? You lay out money, you do work today, and then you have to invoice it, and then you have to wait until this money comes in. And some customers are very, very creative in finding reasons to delay the payment even further and further. At one point in time, our liquidity will become difficult and turn into a problem for us. Companies go bankrupt because of a lack of profitability. Companies go much faster into illiquidity when this cash flow is not protected. So that's even a faster way into bankruptcy for a customer. So we have to take care of liquidity as well. How much can we really afford to go into outlays for our customer? These 3 things are important. And maybe project managers have somewhat learned how to have a happy customer, but profitability, liquidity, legal questions, all these things are not really discussed in project management. And more than 50% of project managers have to deal with that. That's what we see here. 3 surveys that I did in 2015, 18, 2019. I may repeat it sometime, and ask people, what is your type of project that you're currently managing? Is it a customer project? That's the red part here. Or is it an internal project? That's the blue part. And let's simplify it. 50%, maybe a bit more of the project managers are in customer projects. We're not talking about a fringe group here. We are not talking about a tiny minority and some project managers inside this huge community and so on. No, we are at least half of the project managers. I think we are more than that. More than 50% of our project managers are in customer projects. This is not a small aspect of project management. It is a huge aspect of project management. Have a look into the PMBOK guide. Do you find it in the PMBOK guide? There is one short statement where this is mentioned, process 4.1, that's develop project charter. There it says about inputs of this project, talks about contracts for a customer project. This is the starting document. And by the way, it's the most important document for the contractor. That's the only place where this is really mentioned. Otherwise, the PMBOK guide completely ignores that. Ignores 50%, maybe more than 50% of project managers. How can we do that? This is a signal for customer projects. We saw in the previous survey, more procurement is done by customers. Yeah, we see that more project managers are now in customer projects. So what we have here is a healthy market, but it's not a safe bank. It's a healthy market, but it is a high-risk market.
And I can also confirm this. We did a survey also on the Project Management podcast with our listeners, and the numbers that we saw, you know this, Oliver, they were roughly the same. So this is, everybody who does this survey, you will end up with the same numbers, with the same results.
Yeah. Depending on the group you're dealing with, sometimes some group may be larger, sometimes the other one. I think if I would do this today, I have a lot of people who are my contacts because they are interested in project business. So today the number may be even higher, but there is some bias in, and the bias is me actually and my network. But apart from that, it's a big group. We're not talking about a fringe topic. We're talking about a core topic of project management, completely ignored by PMI, by IPMA, by all others. No one looks at that. That's why we founded the Project Business Foundation. We need someone to talk about that and to help people in such a situation, help organizations. Here's the next thing. Differences commonly observable. Formulated a bit carefully, of course. It's not always 100% true, but very, very often you see that. And the biggest difference here, an internal project is typically a cost center inside the performing organization. A customer project is a profit center. Not all of them. I have to add this. There are some other examples where even the customer project is not a profit center, but they are rare exceptions. The majority are just profit centers. When things go wrong, this may end at court. Yeah? What we have to bring home as project managers in customer projects is income, not just deliverables and change. We have to bring money home. Yeah, and this was too fast. I don't know if Facebook and your system is moving this nicely, maybe in little steps, yeah. But we see this list goes on at the bottom. There is so much. There's so many differences. There is so much that we have to learn when we do that. When we come from the internal project to be prepared for the customer project. One interesting thing, and that's a thing that I like very much to see here in internal projects, the typical reputation of project managers is rather low because it's weak matrix. It brings project managers' reputation really down. Here it's rather high because we are rather a strong matrix. So if you feel unhappy in the weak matrix and say, hey, I have so many good ideas and so many good decisions to make, but I'm not in a position to do that, maybe that's a good point to come to the world of customer projects. Your opinion and your decisions have another weight there.
And you know, Oliver, I think the important thing to note about these differences is, as a project manager, nobody prepares you for this.
Yes.
When I started my first customer project, I had no idea what I was getting into. Yes. Right? I was like your Clara Loft, nice name of choice of name, by the way. I know exactly what you did there. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into and how I was going to be challenged on two sides suddenly by the customer who wants me to deliver a superb project, and by my own company who says, well, you got to make money out of this first and foremost, right? Yeah. Rich Maltzman, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, Rich. Great to see you.
Pay attention to these two experts. Outstanding. Yes, I'm standing right now as I'm saying this. Thank you very much, Rich, for noticing. Yes. All right. Back to you, Oliver.
Great to see you, Rich. Yeah. Actually, one of my first customer projects was a long time ago. Engineering project for BMW, and we were the contractor, and we had subcontractors, and I was very young, and I was also completely unprepared for this project. And the project manager on BMW side, so at one point, took me at the side, very, very private, and said, Mr. Lehmann, the most important thing, look at the interfaces. You will have different companies now working for you, and you work for us at BMW. Take care of the interfaces. That's where these projects run into troubles. And I was young, and I thought, yeah, nice advice. Yeah, okay, of course, yeah. Interfaces. Today, I know how right this man was, and what a very, very good advice this was. The problems do not happen inside the organizations; they happen between the organizations. Yeah. And one reason why this happens is something like here. I was in exactly the same situation. It's not just one customer, one contractor. If you have such a situation, from time to time we buy something. That's the procurement section of the PMBOK guide describes this quite good. Yeah, no big criticism on that. But that's not what we have typically. By the way, in automotive, there's an old term for that. This is the extended workbench. You normally do things internally. From time to time, you buy something from outside because you can justify that. You have to justify as a project manager if you buy something from outside. Our situation that we have in many organizations today is not this extended workbench. It is complex project supply networks. We have the buyer. I talked about such a case. We have a seller, a contractor. Meanwhile, at the moment that the contract is there, the seller becomes the contractor in here. I have another one. And this seller is interesting because it's not just the contractor, it's a prime contractor. This contractor has subcontractors, and they may have subcontractors and so on. So we have now one project with already here 6 companies involved, and there may be more than that. We see one direction is how the deliverables will flow. The sellers will sell their deliverables to the prime contractor, and the prime contractor will resell them to the buyer. But in the other way, we have the flow of money in here, and we have lots of contracts in here. That's the challenge with the agility, by the way. It may impact, a change request may impact many contracts, so you have to take care what happens in all these relationships. Another interesting thing is with this company here, seller and buyer at the same time. A prime contractor is a contractor to the customer, but at the same time, the prime contractor is the customer of the subcontractors. And they may have subcontractors again. They may be in the same situation again. So we have a level of complexity in here that has so far not been described. No one takes care of that. The PMBOK guide definitively does not take care of that, does not describe project supply networks as we see it here. I think we should do them as well. We should engineer them as well as production people do, as service people do. They have discipline for that. Supply chain management, education, literature, certifications, everything. What do we have? One book by Oliver Lehmann, and that's it.
And that's it for part 1 of Projects as Profit Centers. For part 2, please watch episode 466. Please visit pm-podcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and PDU information. Our email address is info@pm-podcast.com. Until next time.